9 U.S. Presidents Assassinated by Globalists. And this is Article 1, Andrew Jackson, by Larry Engel. This will be a series of articles to demonstrate that 9 U.S. presidents were assassinated in order to maintain a globalist agenda. 4 others were nearly assassinated in the same cause. I will not concentrate on individual assassination plots, but attempt to demonstrate that these presidents strongly invoked policies that would benefit the people of the nation. I will try to show how this kind of presidential policy opposes the globalist agenda and why the globalists respond always with assassination to invoke their power and send a fear message to any opposition. First, who do I mean by globalists? The Bilderberger Group, the black nobility, billionaire communists, and the black Pope militant Jesuit society inside the Vatican. Also those people who have placed on the US dollar bill a pyramid with an all-seeing eye, 13 steps, New World Order in Latin, and the date of the beginning of the Illuminati, May 1st, 1776. The name of the Queen of England is not Windsor. That is a name that they borrowed from a castle. The royal family's real name is Saxe-Coburg-Gotha. This is a German family. This is the family dynasty that financed and sponsored Adam Weishaupt when he studied and created a plan to rule the world using debt-based central banking and a corporate monopoly controlled by loans. These agents were called the Illuminati. Today they are called the Royal Institute of International Affairs, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, the Club of Rome, the Bilderberger Group, and others. If you oppose their agenda, they will try to destroy your name and your reputation using the mass media they own and control. If that does not work, they will order a prosecutor to frame you. If the prosecutor refuses, he might be disbarred, because the banking corporate monopoly, money, rules over the bar associations. If none of this works, you are likely to get hit by a car or with a hit-and-run driver, or jump out of a hotel window, maybe shoot yourself in the back of the head, or maybe be treated in a hospital by doctors who really don't care and have your best interest at heart. It is my nature not to offer legal-style proof of my claims. My statements are my personal observations, my intuitions, and my opinion. So please use caution in making your own personal judgments from what you hear. We will discuss 4 presidents who did not die and 9 that did. So let us first take a look at President Andrew Jackson. Question: did he oppose the agenda of the globalists that would cause him to become a target of assassination? The first bank set up by Alexander Hamilton was not a central bank of issue, at least not one that was privately owned. It expired in 1812. The central bank of issue that is privately loaned uses paper money called notes, and these notes are not the obligation of these private owners of the bank, but instead are the obligation of the people of the nation. This is called a debt-based monetary system. During the War of 1812, America was attacked by the British, who had already been conquered by the Lombard bankers, and the Bank of London was owned by private individuals, not a bank of the government of England. They forced President Madison to establish a second Bank of the United States as a privately owned central bank of issue. President Jackson saw through this plot and terminated this bank. Therefore, Jackson opposed the globalist agenda and became a target for assassination. Andrew Jackson told us the bold effort the present central bank had made to control the government are but premonitions of the fate that await the American people should they be diluted into the perpetuation of this institution or the establishment of another like it. And of course, another like it would be the Federal Reserve in 1913 that was established. It's a private bank, but the obligations of the bank are shifted over to the American people, creating a national debt which they're going to try to use to bankrupt the nation. Here, President Jackson warns us that a central bank has the ability to buy the government away from the people. Today, the Federal Reserve is more powerful than the Congress, more powerful than the President, and more powerful than the courts. It secretly disperses more taxpayer money than the Congress of the United States. Jackson said, "Every man is equally entitled to the protection of the law, but when the laws undertake to add artificial distinctions, to grant titles, to guarantees and exclusive privileges, to make the rich richer and the potent more powerful, the humble members of society, the farmers, the mechanics, and the laborers, who have neither the time nor the means of securing like favors for themselves, have a right to complain of the injustice of the government." And so what privileges does the Federal Reserve have? Well, they can buy $100 bills for 4 cents each. Can you? Can the American people, can the mechanics and the farmers and the laborers buy $100 bills for 4 cents each? Think about that. 4 cents each is all they do. And they don't even have to do that. The Federal Reserve bankers, by law, are allowed to just type numbers in a computer, and that becomes money that they can spend, just like you and I spend our salary. Today's Federal Reserve owners are permitted by law to purchase $100 bills for the cost of labor and materials, which is about 4 cents each. Every other citizen in our country has to work for $100 bills. The bank uses the bills to take control of major corporations using loans. The Fed can even just type numbers into a computer and it becomes money to loan. The Fed operation is totally secret and not monitored or controlled by your government. "You are a den of vipers and thieves. I intend to rout you out, and by the grace of the eternal God will rout you out," said Andrew Jackson. And President Jackson did rout them out, and therefore became a target of assassination. President James Polk established a proper monetary system in 1848. Andrew Jackson warned us, "I am one of those who do not believe that the national debt is a national blessing, but rather a curse to a republic, inasmuch as it is calculated to raise among the administration a moneyed aristocracy dangerous to the liberties of the country." Today's national debt is a privately owned swindle of the debt-based monetary system that was established in 1913. President Abraham Lincoln avoided this by using debt-free paper money, treasury notes called greenbacks. You can see LincolnAmendment.net. This amendment would remove the national debt. Jackson said, "Gentlemen, I have had been watching you for a long time, and I am convinced that you have used the funds of the bank to speculate in the breadstuffs of the country. When you won, you divided the profits amongst you, and when you lost, you charged it to the bank. You tell me that if I take the deposits from the bank and annul its charter, I shall ruin 10,000 families. That may be true, gentlemen, but that is your sin. Should I let you go on, you will ruin 50,000 families, and that would be my sin. You are a den of vipers and thieves. So Andrew Jackson saw through the scam. That's what he said. Today, the Federal Reserve is working to destroy the middle class around the world and drive us into poverty. In his day, Jackson worked to save the nation from this kind of operation. Today, this responsibility should be assumed by state representatives of all 50 states. Instead, today, the government cuts benefits to the nation and gives billions of dollars to bail out banks. This is a globalist agenda. Andrew Jackson said, if Congress has a right under the Constitution to issue paper money, it was given to be used by themselves, not to be delegated to individuals or corporations. Under the Constitution, Congress does not have the right to issue paper money. But the Lincoln Amendment could change this and put this power into the hands of the state legislatures. The Federal Reserve is a privately owned bank that Jackson would have opposed. On January 30th, 1835, a gunman appeared at the Capitol Rotunda in Washington, D.C. Two loud reports were heard as he fired point blank at President Jackson. But the bullets misfired and never left the barrel. The 68-year-old president clubbed the gunman with his cane, and others subdued him. Both guns were examined later and found to be in working order. The shooter, Richard Lawrence, stated that he was a British citizen and a member of the royal family. He said that the President of the United States was his enemy. So elected officials and equality is not what kings and queens really like, maybe, huh? He said that the President of the United States was his enemy. History does not tell us why he said this or who convinced him of this. At the trial, he was released because people did not believe his story. They thought he was crazy. But this is not a professional medical opinion. It was a political one. But was he crazy? Did powerful people in authority convince him to shoot the President of the United States and promise him wealth? In an assassination, there is always doublespeak. Two stories. One, the official one, which upon examination turns out to be very weak, much like a fairy tale. And the other one, the truth, intended to put fear in the globalist opposition. So they want both stories out there. Doublespeak always gets the Bar Association off the hook and lets the real murderers go free. President Jackson was one of 4 presidents who survived the assassination attempts. In future articles, I will discuss how presidents who both survived the assassination attempts and the 9 who did not survive, like Jackson, they opposed the globalist agenda.